Welcome, Gidi Greenstein, former peace negotiator, founder of the Reut Group. Mr. Greenstein, thank you so very much for joining us. Well, let's cut to the chase. Another Witkoff-Netanyahu conversation today, 2 days after the Dan Alexander release and deeper into the Trump's Gulf visit. How do you see the current dynamic?
So first of all, thank you very much for having me. I think that there is a significant repetition of the dynamic that we saw on January 18. What happened on January 18 is that the Israeli government did not develop any alternative to Hamas, did not come forward with any proposal or any idea about the day after, something that connects the ceasefire with the political horizon, the political side with the economic side. So when the Americans turned on Israel January 18 to force a ceasefire, Israel was forced into a very bad deal that in fact meant that Hamas stayed in power, expanded its presence in Gaza, took over the responsibility for the release of prisoners, not just members of Hamas, but also of other movements. It was a devastating political setback, January 18, and now we're moving straight into a similar outcome. Effectively, Israel has been bypassed by the Americans entirely. Israel is by the wayside. The outline of the ceasefire in Gaza is being negotiated between Qatar, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia and the United States. They're all working on a deal that Israel will have a very hard time maneuvering itself out of. And this deal is bad for Israel. I'll just give one example.
Please.
There was a very simple idea that Israel could have put forward in the past, and that is that the area of Gaza will be divided into, the territory of Gaza will be divided into Area A, where the Palestinians control, and Area B, where the Israeli security could stay on the perimeter of Gaza. This was a simple idea anchored in the existing agreement. Of course, this government did not bring it forward. So now the proposal that the Americans are pushing for is full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. Again, a huge missed opportunity. Really, I think, a devastating political and diplomatic day for Israel.
But at this point in time, we are also still processing, to an extent, the precedent that was set here of talking directly with Hamas, the U.S. that is. What do you make of it? How much leverage can Hamas really make vis-a-vis Washington, if any at all?
So basically, it's not just Hamas. It's the Americans who are weighing whether to work with Israel as the lead partner in the region or to work with Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. From Israel, they heard no on any idea, any proposal, to the point where, sadly, tragically, it was the Americans who were so much more committed to releasing Israeli prisoners than the Israeli government. And Dan Alexander ends up thanking President Trump and not Prime Minister Netanyahu, and he did it out of kind of an instinct, without even fully understanding the full picture. So he knew what we know, and that is that the Americans have led the political maneuvering to release the prisoners and now to ending the war in Gaza. Now, Hamas has cards. We have to remember, Hamas is a military militia. It has political representatives, meaning it operates on the political level. It has economic infrastructure. It has social infrastructure. And to begin with, even years ago, the leadership of Hamas debated whether it makes sense for them to control and govern and manage Gaza. Indeed, at the end, it led to a total devastation and fiasco in Gaza. And therefore, the fact that the military leadership of Hamas is now being offered to leave Gaza, while Hamas forces are being offered to be integrated into the Palestinian police, and the Hamas movement will be part of the Palestinian political system, that is very bad news. I'll just mention one thing that the government of Israel could have insisted on, and that is, according to the Oslo Accords that are being signed right now, every political movement that participates in the Palestinian election has to accept the Oslo Accords, have to accept Israel.
Yeah.
But the government of Israel rejects the Oslo Accord, so he can't come forward with making a demand of implementing a provision that exists in the Accords. And that's how we tied our hands, and that's how we are actually just bystanders in this dramatic political development.
Well, fast forwarding into this very moment and what is expected in the coming days, because we know the attention span is limited and the pace of events we see extremely rapid. So when it comes to the framework of Trump's visit here in the Middle East, what should we expect in the coming days, critical days, nevertheless?
Well, I think that the Americans are playing in a number of theaters. Syria and Lebanon is one. There is a move by Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Turkey to stabilize Syria and establish their kind of domain. Turkey wants to be the hegemon in Syria. Israel, again, is not part of this conversation. We make interventions, we bomb, we try to disrupt the process, but at the end of the day, Al-Jalani is making dramatic diplomatic inroads into places we could not have imagined. You know, he's shaking hands and a photo with President Trump.
Yes, of
what
course,
does Israel have to say about it?
We will be
Almost
diving
nothing.
further into that later on
the
in
second piece I
the
just
show.
want to say is, let's look at Lebanon. There is a peace deal to finalize the border between Israel and Lebanon. That's doable, and Trump can do it. And then they want the normalization with Saudi. There's so much at stake here, and the Americans are leaning in. And I have to say, it's incredibly impressive the way that they're pushing their agenda across the Middle East, generally in the direction of peace and security. And that is, we have to salute them.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if what we're seeing now will later on materialize into a greater Abraham Accord expanded with Syria, with Lebanon. Who knows? There might be something great happening as we speak. Gidi Greenstein, former peace negotiator, founder of the Reut Group. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.